once you've got your materials and your texture maps ready to go, there are other things we could do and download bump maps and stuff like that, but I'm not going to get into those weeds right now. We can go over that later when we get to other more complex projects. But what I wanted to do right now is show you eventually what you should do is copy your materials into the texture maps folder for the Revit file, right? In the zip folder structure that I gave you, and that Revit file is a texture maps. And you should have one that's full size and one that is a swatch, right? So the swatch is going to be like 300 by 300. So you would just take it into Photoshop and make it smaller. And we'll use that in our schedules. So each one of these has one in a swatch, and this is just the original, and this is seamless. But be sure that you have consistent naming, right? So it all stacks correctly, but get them in your texture maps folder. And then we'll go to Revit, and you're going to open up the Revit materials. So I'm going to click on my materials here, right? And so when I click on the materials, these are the materials that are currently loaded in the project, so you can kind of see what they've got in here. We're going to create our own material, obviously. And so at the top, you're going to see A1.2 ceiling, A1.2 floor, and A1.2 wall. So these are already applied to these guys. So we're going to go ahead and just use these materials and update them, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and right click or click on this guy. When I click on it, let me move this over a little bit. It gives you an appearance, a graphics, and an identity tab, right? So the first thing we always deal with in our world is the appearance. So what we're going to do is apply that ceiling material, that texture to the ceiling. And so right here, it has a no image selected, and this is where you assign the diffuse map or channel to this. So you would just click on this, and then you would just navigate to where that Revit folder is, right, with your file in it. And you would just go to your texture maps, and you can always go to views and thumbnails and then grab the flow text. So that's the floor, but we want this guy, right? That's the ceiling. And you just click open, and you'll see that update, right? And then if you go to the graphics tab, you're going to want to check this use render appearance. The appearance tab is how it renders. So it takes that texture and renders it. You can see other channels in here as well that you have access to. If you go to the graphics tab, this is what it's going to look like in the viewport when there's no textures on, when it's like a hidden line drawing. And so on the surface pattern, if you wanted to show a pattern on here when there's no color, you can click on this surface pattern, and it's kind of this pebbly feeling. And so maybe let's go with sand dense. We may change it later, but I'll click on that. And it's gray, right? This controls what the section cut looks like, but we're just going to leave that alone. And then I'm just going to come up here and right click and rename it. And we'll name it is the Armstrong Soundscape. So maybe just Soundscape, right? And so now that's renamed, and then I'm going to click OK. And you'll see it appear, right? It'll appear on that piece right there. And now we'll go back to the materials and create 2 more materials in the next one.